first time ever actually seeing Sam in action. New grad students were forced to take a class, which was fun, and I think Bruce Gronbeck was my professor, who's a fabulous individual. But part of that whole ritual was they promised that Dr. Becker will speak to the class at some point. And he had this spiel he went through to the new grad students. And it was sort of like awaiting the Pope's arrival, because we were promised that he would be there, and he was a very busy man. And all of a sudden, he appears and walks quickly in, goes to the front of the class, and talks about the importance of scholarly research and being serious and being committed. And nobody moved. Nobody moved. We listened very, very carefully. And it was very inspirational. He wasn't so much a scary figure as an inspirational figure.
I don't want to say Gronbeck so much, but Bowers and McGee were really kind of the ones that said, you do what I say, and sooner or later it'll all make sense to you, kind of thing. And I didn't much like that. I mean, with Sam, you could ask questions. Why are we doing this? Why is this going on? And he would answer. But McGee was more like, it will all be made apparent.
I remember one time in graduate school, after people had been teaching for a while, we came in and we had this kind of teaching forum before the beginning of classes started that fall semester. And Sam joined us. And people went around and they talked about some of the problems or the challenges that they had and ways that they dealt with it. And Sam sat there and, eagerly would nod and take notes. And then at one point at the end, as we were kind of wrapping up, Sam said, he leaned forward and he said, I want to thank all of you. I just want to thank you for what you've taught me today. He said, I've learned so much about teaching from you.
I started graduate school at the University of Iowa when I was 20. So I was very young and I was pretty terrified actually. It's very intimidating. I came straight into a doctoral program from my bachelor's degree at New York University. And my first class was with Sam, and it was the Intro to Grad Studies class. I think ultimately he was the best person for me to have to be that first contact with what it's like to be a student, what it means to go to Iowa, what it means to take pride in your education, what it means to be tenacious and perseverant, and to develop as a scholar and to not accept anything but the best from yourself. And that message always came from Sam in a really supportive type of manner. You never felt like you were being torn down, but you were always being sort of pushed up.
He was very approachable, yeah. I mean, his door was always open, which is what I do still. I when I'm in my office, the door is open, usually. but that I think of him, but yeah, I mean, I only had that one credit class with him, but I probably worked more closely with him than anybody, except maybe Eric, who was my dissertation advisor. But I went around, even with an assistantship. I went to each professor's office, and what kind of research do you have that I can help you out with? And nobody was willing to share, or they didn't know what to do with somebody who was going around asking for more work to do, except for Sam. You go in his office and pop open
this. Here's an old SPSS spreadsheet, the big green stacks. Look at this data. What the heck is that?
Yeah, stuff he had half finished or was working on, and he'd pull out those filing cabinets that went halfway across his office, and thumbing through, and here you go. And so he'd always have something to do.